Let's try this again. All right, so hey guys, for those of you who are watching this in a recording after the fact, or for those of you who are here now, um, my name is Tori Quismondo, and I'm a computer instructor, and I am going to go through some steps for some labs with you. So let's go ahead and get this started. I have some examples that I'm going to use for today, and I'm going to start off with one of the very first lab assignments that you guys will do, and that is creating the business letter. So there's a couple of things that I'd like to mention with that. So I'm going to pull up the starter file for a recommendation, which is the file that you guys use for this class here. There we go. Okay, good deal. All right, so earlier I had asked the participants that were here if they could hear me, to let me know if you could raise your hand or type in the chat. There's a chat. So I guess we're just going to go ahead and keep on trucking. I think we're good. All right, so here we go. One of your very first assignments in the CIS 110 lab in the Word software is for you to create a recommendation letter, and the instructions ask the students to create a blank document. So you would go into File, New, and you would choose single space blank because that's what the instructions ask you to do. If you select blank document, you're going to have the wrong spacing. And so what do I mean by that? This student here, I have this example letter here for us, and I want to show you this. I can already tell that this document here is not single space blank. I can tell you that this area down here is. And I'm not sure why that happens sometimes, because I'm not exactly sure how the students do that. But let me share this with you. To double check yourself, you can select your text and go to your Home tab, your paragraph grouping, select your spacing button, and look, if it says remove space after, do you see how that just shrunk itself up? If it says remove space after, then you did not use a single space blank document. And it's important that you know this. If you try to create a Word document for your English instructor and you are doing a research paper and you have this extra space, your English instructor is not going to accept it either. What happens is Microsoft puts an extra 0.6 of a space in there after each paragraph so that it's easier to read your documents online, although that's not a true double space. So you have to make sure that you remove space after paragraph. So you see the difference between that, right? It's a significant amount of difference. So if whenever you start to create your file, you say File, New, and you use the single space blank, you don't have to worry about it. But if you forget and you use the File, New, Blank document, you're going to need to come in here and say remove space after. See, I've removed the space now and it says add space after. So if there is no extra space, then it will say add space after. Okay? All right, so that was the most important thing that I wanted to share with you. Students often lose about 20 points for that. It's a lot of points just for not having an accurate single space document. Okay, the next assignment that I'm going to share with you guys is, let me pull up my little folder here. Okay, the next assignment that I want to share with you guys is the athletics assignment, and I'm going to pull it up. It should look similar to this whenever you're done, right? So you can see what the file looks like whenever you're done. One-page document with a border, and you should have a watermark in the background, and at the bottom you should have word art. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is open up a document that is partially complete so that I can go over some of these other steps with you. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a few of these steps here. One of them is adding your word art. So it tells you to put your insertion point after the last word in the document, or you can do Control End, and that will bring you down to the last line of your document. Then enter to hit enter to go to the next line, which I've already selected enter. I'm already there. The insertion point will be on the line under the text. That's what the instructions say. So your insertion point is on the line under the text, and mine is. And then it's going to ask me to insert a SmartArt graphic of a cycle text. Okay, so check this out. You will need to add a SmartArt graphic in your Word final exam, in your Excel final exam, and in your PowerPoint final exam. So if you don't follow these steps in your lab, you're not going to know how to do it. So here I'm going to the Insert tab. I'm going to the Illustrations grouping, the SmartArt button. Once I have the SmartArt button selected, it's going to give me a pop-up window that tells me to choose some SmartArt graphics. This one here in particular is a cycle, and it tells me I need the cycle text. So here it is, text cycle. Select it and say OK. It's going to give this to me, and I'm going to need to type in there some words. I need to type in skill. Oh, I have my caps lock on. Okay, and then I need to type in there school. I need to type study. I need to type support. Now this is all according to the instructions. And I need to type success. Now, I already know that this file has got to be on one page, so I can make this smaller so that it shrinks up so that I do see it on one page. And it's really just that easy. It's going to also ask you to use a SmartArt style on it. It says in here, type the following words in, add the SmartArt style of polished. So if I look up here, if I select my SmartArt, I get two separate tabs at the top. I get design and format. So if I look at the design one, I get these SmartArt styles here. And one of these styles here will be called polished. There we go. So now I can see it's got a more polished look. Another thing I want to share with you guys is going to be your page border. If I go to the Design tab, in the Design tab, on the far right, there's a Page Background grouping. On that grouping, there's a button called Page Borders. If I select that page border, this is the options here where I can make, choose, and modify my page borders. So in this particular instance, it asked me to add an orange box, so I need the box border. I need the color to be orange, and I need it to be 2 1/4 point, 2 1/4 point around. Okay, so now I'll say OK, and now I've got my page border in there. It asked me to then adjust my margins to normal. If I go to my Layout tab and I choose the Margins button, I can then make sure that I have the narrow margins, which I'd already selected. One of the last things that it has you do on this particular assignment is to create a watermark. So I'll go back to my Design tab. On the far right in my Page Background grouping, I'll go to the Watermark button. And I want to put a picture watermark in there. So I'm going to say that I would like for it to be Custom, Picture, Select Picture. Now in this instance, I ask you guys to go to Bing and search for it. But if I try to go to the internet while in this online session, it will cause an error. So I have saved one already in my files of images, and I believe I called it sports. So let's just see here. Okay. I don't see it. All right, so I'm just going to select an image and insert it. This way you guys can see. Obviously, that's not the one you guys are meant to put in there. But the watermark is actually created by using the watermark button, not by inserting a picture. Okay, so I'm going to move along, and I would like to go to the next assignment, but I'm going to skip over the AITP sign. It seems like students don't really have a tough time with that assignment. There's not a lot of students that lose points on that one. So I'm going to skip over that assignment. And next I would like to go to one that students lose a lot of points on, which is creating the supply list. So let me pull back up my folder. I'm going to look for the supply list. Now, this supply list file here that I'm going to share with you guys is a completed one. And I have my ruler out. If you're looking on your screen and you do not have a ruler, you can view your ruler by going to the View tab and checkboxing the ruler. Okay? In this particular instance, I'm going to increase this some so that you can see it. And then I want to share with you, this is how I check your assignment, okay? If your tabs are set properly, I can look on the ruler and the proper icons will be listed. If I select this line right here, and I come up here and look at the ruler, it says that at 2, I have a center tab. At 3, I have a center tab. At 4, I have a center tab. And at 5, okay, that's how the directions are created, and that is correct. Then the directions will ask you to then create a decimal tab. And if I look at this icon here, you see it's got the little dot after it. That's the decimal tab. At 2, 3, 4, and 5, it's the same icon up there. So I know it's been created properly. Now, when I look at students' assignments and they have not created the center tab, let me show you what it looks like. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to clear out all of the tabs that I have on the bottom part, clear all from where I'm at, okay? So if a student just simply hits tab and then starts to type, what will happen is up here on this ruler, I will see, it looks like an L, but that is your left tab. That's your default tab. If that's what you use, then I'll know. And so sometimes students will hit that tab multiple times and then start typing in there, and they'll create this tab here at different locations, but that's not the proper tab. If you want to place a tab up here on the ruler, you can do it 2 ways, two main ways. The first way is this. You are on the line, you want to be on the line where you're creating the tab. So in this instance, I am down here, and I would like to create the tab here. If I go to my Home tab, Paragraph Grouping, select the More button, select the Tabs button, I would first want to clear out all the tabs that are pre-created, if there are any listed. Then if I'm creating a center tab, I would come up here and say I want a center tab at 2, set, a center tab at 3, set, a center tab at 4, set, and a center tab at 5, set. Then I would say OK. Then I would type in my information, all right? And then if I need to change the tabs after that, like in the situation here, I would go back to my paragraph grouping, back to my More button, select my tabs again, clear all. This time, though, I would select a decimal, and I would set a decimal at 2, set, 3, set, 4, set, and 5, set, and say OK. And then I would type in the information. Do you see how it is different? It falls into a different category based off of here. The view is different because on this one, where I said on this line here, look up here at my ruler, I have a center tab. Okay, down here it's going to align differently because I have a decimal tab. So make sure you are creating your tabs properly. Also, the last thing I want to share with you is if you would like to have your document centered, your text centered, okay, this assignment here does request that you center your text vertically within that document. There is a vertical center button. And so what some of you guys are doing is hitting enter, and then you'll space over, and then you'll say, okay, this is the supply list, and then you hit enter again, and then you're like, I should probably move that over a little bit. You realize that on my Home tab, in my paragraph grouping, this little button here, this is my Show Hide button. It shows my non-printing characters. My non-printing characters are the characters that reveal the formatting. That's honestly, that's how I grade you guys sometimes. So if that's going to share my formatting there, I can see that you did not do a vertical center. I can see that instead you eyeballed it. You continue to hit enter, and then you hit the space bar. If I hit tab, I get arrows. If I hit the space, I get dots. Those dots are different from periods because they're in the center. Okay, so it's different. It's not a period, it is a space. Okay, so I wanted to share that with you guys, so make sure you're using that vertical center and do not hit enter. Okay, the next file that I want to share with you is creating your research paper. All right, so I'm done with all of these. I don't really need these anymore. I'll minimize them though in case I want to go back to them. Let me pull this up, and I'm going to pull up the research paper file. In this particular assignment here, students generally have no problem inserting the citations. They have the most problem creating the bibliography and leaving the template in there. So the two things I'm going to hit up in this assignment here is, one, your header, which students miss a lot of points on, and two, inserting your works cited. Okay, so if I did not have this header up here, and I would like to create one, I could go to my insert, and in this particular assignment I also need a page number. So I'm going to say insert. Instead of choosing header, I'm going to go straight to page number. Top of the page, plain number 3. Then I'm going to hit the space bar and type DAVIS space bar, and there, I've got my header. And my header also includes the page numbers, and that's how quick and easy it is. So there's no need for you to try to see how it says page 2 on page 2. On page 3 it says page 3. On page 4 it says page 4. Now, once I get done, I'm going to remove this page break. I'm going to, okay, this was actually a completed file from a student, and I kept this. This is where students lose their points. Do you see how it has this blue bibliography here? That's a template. And in your instructions, it specifically says not to use a template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this whole thing, select it, and delete it. In fact, I'm going to delete this works cited and bring us back up here. After you get to this point in this particular assignment, it will ask you to insert a page break. That's the Insert tab. On the far left, you're going to find the Pages grouping, and you can select Page Break. Now, you can't see that page break unless you're on the Home tab in the Paragraph grouping and you're using your Show Hide button. If your Show Hide button is turned on, you can see the words Page Break. And so I turn that on when I'm grading to make sure your page break is there. Then it asks you to type in the words works cited and center it, hit enter, and then left align, Control L or left align. And now I'd like to insert my bibliography. Now, if I'm on my References tab, in my Citations and Bibliography area, what I have here is your instructions say to go to Bibliography and insert bibliography. But you guys are using that term more loosely, and you're choosing bibliography, and it's putting the template in there. All right, we don't want that, and your English teacher wouldn't take it either, and that's why I take points off for it. So on my References tab, I go to Bibliography, and come on down, come on down, come on down, here we go, right there. Insert bibliography. If you choose this one, it inserts your bibliography for you. Then you can go back, and you can make sure that you format it properly with removing space after, with making sure it's double spaced, with making sure you've got your hanging indent, and this one is good to go. So it's that simple. Please do not go to your References tab, choose your bibliography, and choose the ones that have the blue template on there. Okay. All right, so let's check this out. Let me see if there's one more Word file that I wanted to share. Nope, I'm going to move on to Excel. And I've already posted some Excel files for you guys to sort of check out that was a video I made for another course. But it's the same thing, same assignments, and I actually take you through what Excel is and what the assignments are and how to complete them. In this particular instance, though, I'm going to pull up this AITP. No, I'm not. I'm going to do Work Study. Work Study is the very first assignment that you guys complete in Excel. Okay? So with this particular assignment here, I'm going to increase them so you can see it a little bit better. In this particular assignment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start subtracting things. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to, this should be the word total. That was missing. I'm going to leave the data in there. I'm going to remove the totals, okay? So if I made it to this point in this particular assignment and all I have left to do is to create my formulas and then add in my chart, that's generally what students get points taken off for. And guys, once I show you how to calculate your totals, it's so much easier than typing in the numbers. I mean, it's crazy not to do it this way. If you select all the numbers that you'd like to add together, and then you tell it where you want your answers to go. For example, I would like to add all of these numbers here. I'd like my answers to go in column G and in row 8. Now I'm going to go to the top on my Home tab in my editing grouping. Right here is my auto sum button. When I select that, it gives me the totals in there. It's seriously that easy. I'm going to use a shortcut on my keyboard, Control tilde, that is going to show me that I do have formulas in there. Now, had I have simply typed 21, 20, 13, right? Now I look at my formulas, that's a number, that's a number, that's a number. These are formulas. So you want to make sure that you are not typing these in, that you are actually using the auto sum, which is actually easier than typing them in. Okay, so the first thing I do when I get an Excel document is Control tilde, and I look at your formulas. Instantly, I can already tell if you understand Excel or not, generally by that. Okay, the next thing that students will miss the most points on is creating their chart. And this particular chart here, students will miss points because they select just the data. They forget to select, even though it gives you the range of cells to select in there specifically, students will still miss this because they'll leave out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Frank through Sherman, and they will go in and they will insert their chart, right? But then it has series 1, 2, 3, and 4, and nothing else is identified. That's not a very helpful chart. So you want to make sure that you're selecting. This little blank cell here is a quick indicator that, hey, let's start here. So if you start in that cell there, you select your range of cells. You've also got all of your headers in there. Then you go to Insert. Then you select your chart. Okay? Then you can move your chart to the location that's specified in your set of instructions. And then you can type your chart title in there, work study. All right, so the most commonly missed things on this particular assignment here is 1, that students are not creating the formulas, and 2, they're not creating their chart properly. So I've just gone over those 2 main steps with you guys, so hopefully that will be beneficial for you. I also want to share with you that if you go to the Formulas tab, and you select the Formulas tab, you can choose the Show Formulas button. That will also show your formulas to you. Another way to see what your formula is, if I'm clicking in cell F4 and I look right here, this is my formula bar. I can see that it says 5. There's no formula there. If I click in cell G4 and I look on my formula bar, it's got a formula released for me. So that's another way, okay? All right. The next thing that I want to share with you guys is the assignment for school books, and this is going to be the last thing I share with you. Hopefully this will be helpful for you. In this particular assignment, you are doing a couple of formulas. Oh, let me share this with you. If you ever see this number symbol, that means you have a number in there, but Excel won't release the number unless the cell is large enough to release it. So I'll increase my column width. Now I can see the numbers that are in there, because check this out. Let's say you have unformatted numbers and you see 120, but really it's 120 million. There's a big difference between 120 and 120 million. So if it can't show you the whole number, it won't show you the number at all. Okay, so that's for security purposes. You know, we want to make sure you know what number is there. All right, now in this particular assignment, you are asked to create a total, an average, and count the number of classes. So this particular assignment here is complete with a formula in each one of these. The unfortunate thing that happens is most students turn it in like this: 117.25, 469, and that, whatever the ending was, right? And that just earned you a 40%. All right, each one of these are worth 20 points. So let's do them correctly. All right, if I want to add something, we already learned this. You select all the numbers you want added together, give it a blank spot for your answer, go to your Home tab, your editing grouping, and click your auto sum. Done. Okay, if this number were to change right here, Okay, if I needed to change this number to 189, it updates that. If this number here goes to 0, it updates that. So it will update things here, right, based off of, because I got the formula placed in there. In this particular instance, it may tell you to create your own formula. And if that's the case, all right, all formulas start with equals, okay? So I'm going to use the point and click method. So I've already typed in equals. I'll select B4 plus B5 plus B6 plus B7 and hit enter. It's that simple, right? So my formula is in there. I can look at my formula bar up here and my formula is listed. I can select, double click, that's your rangefinder, and it will release that for me too. I can see my formula. Hit escape to get out of that. I need to create my average right here. The easiest way to do that is to go to your FX, your insert function button, choose average and say okay. It'll try to guess for you the range of cells, but we don't want cell B9, it's blank, and we don't want cell B8, it's the total. So I'm going to just simply select the 4 cells, B4 through B7, and say, okay, I've got my average. My average right now is $95. That may not be the average that's the answer for this particular assignment because I've changed some of the totals. So let me put my prices back. It was 120, 89, 0, and 190. Okay, and then at the end the computer book moved to $70, so there we have it. Okay, if I click here, I can see my formula is an average. The average of cells B4 through B7, I can see that on my formula bar. Let's go ahead and do the number of classes properly. If I want to click in here, I'd like to add a formula. I'll go back up to this FX. Listen, if you want to, you can also select this list tab. I don't do it because it's a whole extra click. Okay, and I know that if I'm staying on the home tab and I click this FX button, I've got the opportunity to select any of the same ones that are on the formulas tab. It's kind of an old school way of doing it. In this instance, we're asked to use the count. I'm going to select count. It will try to guess for me which cells I want. B10 is not correct. I just simply select the 4 cells that I need placed in there. My result is 4. If I look at my formulas, I've got addition here, I've got average there, I've got count here, and I've got the proper totals there. All right, well listen, I hope this was beneficial for you today. I am going to stop sharing my screen and see if anyone has a quick question before I close this out. So today was just a very quick session. I don't see anything written in the chat. All right, so we will stop sharing here. If anyone has a question, I'll stay on here for a few minutes. This video will be uploaded to YouTube. It'll get closed captioning placed onto it, and it'll get re-released to your course. So if you missed it today, you can watch it in a recorded video. I hope this was helpful to you guys.